It's phenomenal to see you all here today. My name is Gavin Seim, and I'm really glad you came out. You'll get to hear from me a little bit later, but mainly what I want to start out with is we're going to get into the pledge, we're going to do the anthem, but we want to start out with something very important to set an example for our children and for liberty, and that is making sure that we are safe with our resolve and our principle and our liberty and our refusal to back down. And for that, I'm going to bring one of our experts and somebody who will be speaking to you again later, Reynolds.
Thank you. What a fine group of patriots we have out there this morning. This does my heart good to see the turnout that we have here today. There's one thing we are not complying with a lot of things today, but there's one thing we'd like for you to comply with, and that's our safety procedures. There's a lot of different opinions and personalities and attitudes and everything here today, and we don't want to take away from any of that. We don't mean to question your what's the word I'm looking for here? No. I'm losing my train of thought here. Your competency. We don't mean to question your competency with ring. Okay, this is a. Thank you. This is first on your sidearms, your pistols. We welcome you to keep those loaded. We insist that you keep them holstered unless there's some emergency that requires you to use it. Then we'd like for you to keep them holstered and keep them safe. On your long guns, we would ask that you keep your chambers cleared. This is not a matter of, it's a matter of common sense. In the camps of Afghanistan where our military is, they don't have chambered weapons until they leave out to go on patrol or something. You accomplish nothing by having a loaded chamber in a group of people like this. If your weapon is loaded and you would like to unchamber it, please go over here to the south a little bit, over towards the Vietnam Memorial deal over here, and make it safe. As we transfer these weapons today, there's going to be a lot of them handed back and forth, and that's a great thing. As you do that, we would like for you to have your long guns either, this gun is completely inert, it has no trigger, it has no bolt, it's painted orange, it's as safe as it gets. It's a piece of pipe with a handle on it. So we would like for you to have them slung either muzzle down or muzzle up. If you don't have a sling on it, please be very cautious of where that muzzle is. There is no, well, it's on safety or, well, it's unloaded. Please just watch your muzzles. If you need to transfer that, transfer it in the same manner. If it's muzzled down, then you want to hand it to the person, take it off your shoulder, keeping it safe, and hand it to them muzzle down. If it's muzzle up, just transfer it muzzle up and keep it safe. It's real easy to get nonchalant about this and just, I'm cautious even with this gun. I'm nervous about pointing it out towards everybody. So as you're waving it around and everything, we're going to be pointing at a lot of people here. So please try to keep your muzzles, keep your fingers off the triggers. And other than that, the damage that could be done by a negligent discharge here will be irreparable. It will destroy everything that we're working for. So other than that, we will not comply.
Thank you, Cope. And with that, let's start at the foundation, and let's open with a song. And let's get Kit Carroll, who's one of our phenomenal volunteers who's been in the back end working her tail off to make this happen and to make history here today along with all of you, and she's going to lead that off for us. So Kit, let's give her a hand.
I would like all of you to sing with me. I want us to show them what patriots sound like when they sing. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
Thank you, Kit. Phenomenal job. And with that, I want to bring another one of our phenomenal volunteers up, Maria Bosworth, and she is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. You know, I love the way the pledge is worded because people mistake this oftentimes that haven't stopped to think about it. I am in no way pledging allegiance to government. We are pledging allegiance to the republic for which it stands, for the principle, for our rights, and for the absolute law that we placed on government, because our rights are not the gift of government, they are the inherent possession of men, as Chris Ann Hall, a very respected constitutional speaker, always likes to say. We do not ask for our rights, and we do not negotiate for our rights. We stand here on this field exercising our First Amendment right, to exercise our Second Amendment right, to exercise all of our rights, to demand that government comply with absolute law that we, the people, placed upon them. And we stand for peace and liberty. But we will not back down, and we will not cower, and we will stand. We will take America back. And with that, I would like to open up into a phenomenal lineup of speakers that we have for you today, some regional, some local, and some have come from all the way across America to stand with these patriots on this day for liberty. And to start us off, I would like to bring up Brian Keith. Born and raised in Olympia, Brian Keith is going to share a few thoughts with you about freedom. Thank you, Brian.
Have you ever been responsible for the safety of another person? A child, or an elderly parent, or perhaps a friend who relied on you to protect them? Can you imagine someone threatening them with physical harm? You may not be a match for a gang of violent predators, at least not with your fists. But when you use a gun in righteous self-defense of human life, you have the power to save the innocent and to stop the evil. Americans use guns to prevent violence over 1 million times a year, but most of the time we never need to pull the trigger. The threat of violence, in and of itself, is enough to make the bad guys stop. My name is Brian Keith, and I am a walking no-violent crime zone. When I carry a handgun, I ensure the safety of all of those around me. I don't replace the police, far from it. I'm the guy you want to have in the room so that everyone stays alive until the police get there. When seconds count, the police are minutes away. The people who can respond in seconds, they're your fellow citizens. And they go through a lot of rigorous training in order to be ready to protect you. I train because I care. I carry because I care. One murder is too many. One rape is too many. One violent robbery is too many. The threat of violent crime is real. The FBI says there are about 20,000 violent crimes in Washington state each year. That's about 14 violent crimes in a group of 5,000 people each year. That's about 14 of us here in this group. Who will be attacked, violently robbed, or worse? We can't know. We can only prepare and do our best to defend ourselves and those who rely upon us for their safety. How did we even get here? I'm a normal guy. I went to Capitol High School just up the hill. I went to Washington State University, like 27,000 other people are right now, and quite a few of you. I run a small company, just like over 200,000 of my fellow Washington citizens. And like over 450,000 of you, I have a concealed pistol license. So what in the world am I doing carrying a shotgun at the state capitol? I think I am here because of how normal I am. You know what normal people don't say in public? I own guns. I might say that to people who I know are already into shooting. Mike's gone. I'm back? Excellent, thank you. But I don't bring it up at social events that I own guns. And I don't stand on the side of a road with a sign. I just don't talk about it. Maybe you don't talk about it either. Maybe 594 passed in part because the people who voted yes just don't understand how many gun owners there are, how many gun owners they live around, and how completely normal we are. That's not surprising. Gun owners are mostly very law-abiding, very peaceful. And unless we speak up, how would they know? But if 594 passed due to ignorance, and the supporters of that bill were ignorant because we did not speak up, whose fault is that? It's mine. And it's yours. There are over 100 million gun owners in this country, and yet we keep on acting as if owning guns makes us bad people. No. Protecting people is good, and defending life is noble. And you and I, we need to get over our fear of the social stigma of saying, I own guns. We need to start now, right now, loudly and with pride. Many of us aren't used to saying this in public like we are right now, but I want you to say it with me. Repeat after me. I own guns. I own guns. We can do louder. This is Olympia. We need everyone to know this. I own guns. It's pretty loud. That's excellent. I protect my community. If you protect your community, say it with me. I own guns. I'll be clear on the next one. I am a walking nonviolent crime zone. If you are also a walking nonviolent crime zone, then say loudly, I own guns. I believe that one murder is too many. If you also believe that, then say with me, I own guns. I own guns. I believe that one rape is too many. If you believe one rape is too many, then let's say it again. I own guns. One violent robbery is too many. If you agree, let's say it again. I own guns. Our community must hear us proudly declare that we own guns. It may make some of our fellow citizens uncomfortable, but so can two guys walking down the street holding hands. Our owning guns is not subject to the discomfort of people afraid of freedom. When we say, I own guns, when we say publicly, I own guns, it may make some of our fellow citizens nervous or upset. But so can an interracial couple sharing a kiss in a park. Our owning guns is not subject to the emotional state of people afraid of freedom. The day that we are all free to carry guns in defense of ourselves and our community, and no one cares about it, that's the day we can go back to minding our own business and not saying I own guns in public. But until then, I am Brian Keith, and say it with me one more time. I own guns! Thank you.
A big hand for Brian Keith. All right, and let's get Stephen Nielsen up here. He should be around somewhere close, hopefully. Has Stephen not checked in yet? Oh, there he is. Awesome. Stephen, I will let you introduce yourself, but take it away. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. So as we were coming up on Election Day, I kind of saw the forest through the trees. I knew what was going to happen, and I had said, that when 594 passes, I was going to plan an event, and it turns out that Gavin, who has more resources and a lot more passion than most anybody I know, put this on. I said, Gavin, I'll tell you what, I'll yield to you on the field as long as I get a speaking spot. So thank you so much, Gavin, for doing what a lot of us intended to do, is come out here and be non-compliant to a clearly unconstitutional law. Everywhere I go, folks who have seen me run, I ran for state representative as a libertarian. They know that I bring my family everywhere I go, because everything that I do because I'm protecting my rights, but also the rights of my family and the rights of your family. Every word that I say, every idea that I have, every action that I take, I do because I care about not what's best for me, but what's best for everybody and what's best for our children. And what happened with 594 is not good for anybody. Can we all agree? Not only is it not good, it's not constitutional. We like to talk about the U.S. Constitution and the Second Amendment to the Constitution that says we have the right to keep and bear arms. But there's a more powerful document. It's our state constitution. It's the reason why we exist here in Olympia today. And in that document, Article 1, Section 24 says that we have a right to defend ourselves, our property, and our family, and that right to bear arms shall not be impaired. Holy crap, that just changed the entire game. What does it mean to impair? It means to delay, it means to try to stop, it means to put any force of resistance against my right, my natural right to defend my family, to defend my property and defend my state. Therefore, any law that impairs my right to bear arms in defense of my family and my property is unconstitutional. Try telling that to a liberal judge. We hold the moral high ground right now. And because we failed in November and we allowed 594 to pass, now we have to fight harder to maintain this high ground. We have let the enemy advance. I was out here speaking in this very same spot, about 100 yards that way, back in April. And we were promised thousands of people to come out and talk about protecting our gun rights, and we were promised that these folks would come out and this would be our army to stop 594, and we had 70 people show up. We were the proactive 70. What has happened today is kind of a day of mourning. We're all being reactionary right now, but what did we do to be proactive to stop 594? Not enough. Not enough. What are we going to do tomorrow? Are we going to continue to be reactive, or are we going to stand up and say enough? And are we going to get off of our couches, get off of our keisters, and are we going to actually take the fight to the enemy? Are we going to advance the line from the strong moral high ground and actually take that out to some reality? We have to stop them from putting these laws upon us, these unconstitutional laws. And when we are passive and when we are inactive, that simply does not happen. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, Socialist, you're not going to get anything done following your beliefs if you're not active. Who do you think the active individuals were before November? Unfortunately, it wasn't us. We weren't angry enough. We weren't loud enough. Who's angry? Who's loud? Who's going to let stuff like this happen again? Right. So what do we do in the meantime until we can get this dealt with? The one thing that the Libertarian Party pushes at every single event is jury nullification. Not a lot of people are clear with what that concept is. It doesn't matter what the law says. If it violates natural law and you are on a jury, follow natural law. I don't give a crap what it says underneath that dome. You know what's the right thing to do. If you're on a jury, nullify by legal precedent through jury nullification, right? I want everybody in here to turn to a stranger, turn to a neighbor, and promise to them, make a pledge right now that if you are on a jury and they are being they're under prosecution for anything 594 related that you will nullify in the jury box. Make that promise to a neighbor right now. I will nullify. My name is Stephen Nielsen. My time is up. Thank you all for being here today. Do not stop fighting. Defend the high ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephen. Awesome. All right, is Mac Worley here? Mac was supposed to be up here, and I don't know if I've heard from him today, so if Mac, if you are here, shout out at me. You haven't checked in for at the tent yet. If not, we will move on and maybe sneak Mac in a little later. Okay, how about Alden Morris? That's next up. There's Alden. And let's get him up here. Alden's going to give us a little history. He's going to talk about the evolution of weaponry. Alden Morris. Thank you.
How's it going, guys? So today I'm going to speak about the evolution of weaponry and today's infringements. Sounds good. In 1718, prior to the Revolutionary War, the first machine gun was invented. Designed by James Puckle, a British inventor, lawyer, and writer, the Puckle gun was capable of firing 9 rounds per minute via a flintlock revolver. Although the weapon was designed to prevent enemies from boarding ships belonging to the British, it nevertheless proved the evolution of weaponry. In 1775, American patriot David Bushnell invented the turtle as a means to attach explosives to British ships stationed in harbors just prior to the Revolutionary War. The turtle was the first submersible craft with a documented record of use in combat. Designed to be used against the British Royal Navy, even George Washington provided funds and support for the development and testing of the machine, regardless of his doubts. With the evolution of weaponry in mind, the Founding Fathers wrote into the framework of the Constitution of the United States, "shall not be infringed," for one specific reason: to ensure that the citizens of the United States would have the adequate tools available to them to repel enemy forces, both foreign and domestic. With time, however, the words "shall not be infringed" began to blur. Administration after administration perpetually reinterpreted every American citizen's natural-born right to self-defense by requiring permits for the evolution of weaponry. This infringement took off during the 1930s when the federal government proclaimed that average citizens shall not be able to possess automatic weaponry, or in other words, the 1934 National Firearms Act. Although the claim was to prevent the gangsters of that era from acquiring especially lethal weapons, it was nevertheless the first proof that criminals will not obey the law and that such a law only restricts the law-abiding. Shortly thereafter, the Gun Control Act of 1968 was passed, requiring citizens to obtain licenses in order to buy, sell, and trade interstate weapons. This was also the beginning of procedures that track the serial numbers of all weapons, another law that only primarily affects the law-abiding. Then in 1986, the Firearms Owners Protection Act was passed as a guise that every citizen's right to bear arms would be protected and restored if need be. However, all that bill clearly did was make it illegal for everyday citizens to own a machine gun or a weapon that fired more than 1 round at the squeeze of a trigger without proper government permission, or in other words, licensing. Then in 1993, the Brady Law was passed, requiring background checks for those who want a weapon, which again affected the law-abiding and their wallets. And again in 94 with Clinton's assault weapons ban, which made magazines with more than 10 rounds illegal in specific states as they were identified as large capacity magazines, as well as the bill focused primarily on semi-automatic weaponry. Fortunately, the bill expired in 2004. All of this legislation only affected the law-abiding. Requiring licensing in order to possess a weapon of choice for defense is an infringement on the right to bear arms. This is what we are here to realize once again. As Americans, we do not consent. As Americans, we will not comply. It is time to realize how important the words "shall not be infringed" are, and to realize what an infringement is. We do this by studying our history to understand our present and future. The Founding Fathers never intended a standing army to be so well equipped because they experienced this firsthand. They intended that every American citizen be well armed and well regulated in place of a standing army. It's a comforting thought to realize that so many hundreds of years ago, men like George Washington pondered what weapons of the future would be like. With the puckle gun and the turtle as just some of their examples, they knew that one day weapons would be capable of firing hundreds and even thousands of rounds per minute, and that explosives would be able to be delivered miles away. And yet, they still wrote into the framework, "shall not be infringed." It's time to take back the definition of infringements from our current administration. It is time to tell them that we no longer consent nor comply, and that we, as American citizens, will possess the weaponry available to us and render all unconstitutional legislation against this right null and void.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Selfie behind you.